I was 13 years old when Dorothy Bingham took me to see Godspell, the musical. I was excited and I was nervous. Dorothy Bingham was our minister's wife. And so it was going to be me and Dorothy for the evening. At 13, I wasn't sure what we would talk about that night. And it felt a little strange, but I was so excited to go to this play. Dorothy Bingham was really an exceptional character, and today I give thanks for the gifts that she gave. You see, people at church told stories about Dorothy. They said she picked up hitchhikers and befriended them. Each week she visited the jail, the men's jail. And she and her husband moved in a college student from Zimbabwe into their home. That was a radical thing for a rural community in Missouri. Dorothy saw people for who they were at depth. She loved immensely, and I think that each day she was guided by Spirit. That's just who Dorothy was. So today we're talking about prayer, about guidance from Spirit. And following our World Day of Prayer, this is a great time to continue this topic. I do feel some ease around this topic because it's so complex, right? But I also have excitement because this topic is so rich with meaning. Our New Thought traditions, not just unity, are based on prayer. In the Centers for Spiritual Living, they're more likely to use the word treatment, and I'll use that word today as well. So we'll explore prayer, the kind of prayer that's the very experience of God. So this morning I'll examine some of the misconceptions about prayer, the purpose of treatment, and prayer as alignment with the divine. So this morning, let's ask ourselves, how can I connect with Spirit in prayer? Day by day, we pray and we interact with the divine in our everyday lives. So this morning, we're examining our relationship with the ultimate source. I invite you to affirm with me, as I pray, I align with God consciousness. Together? As I pray, I align with God consciousness. So while Dorothy had invited me to see the musical Godspell, there was a catch. We were both going to usher that night, right? And see the play for free. I was 13, I was a shy teenager, and just the very idea of ushering scared me. It was easy. I don't remember much about that part. I remember the play. But it was exciting to go to the theater. The Lyceum Theater in Arrow Rock, Missouri is one of the oldest professional theaters in the state. And it's in a historic, quiet 19th century village. And the play was in, of all places, an old church turned into a theater. In Godspell, the character Jesus shares parables and sayings with a diverse and offbeat group of friends. And the good news comes through their discussions, interspersed by music. And at the end of the first act, they love and care for each other. They become a community. Now, the second act contains the drama of betrayal and the trauma of death. Even when Jesus is taken from them, the group remains fused as a community, ready and able to apply the lessons that they have learned. And as a teenager, this play opened my eyes, especially to a community that actually looked fun and not so sedate as the church that I grew up in. In the play, Jesus actually asks the group, set your mind where? And they answer, God. And Jesus elaborates, God's kingdom and his justice and all the rest will come to you as well. Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. And day by day, we make choices. So we can ask ourselves, do my eyes see drama? Does my heart feel trauma? Do my mind and my hands take actions that I regret? In each moment, we choose how to respond to life. And in each moment, we have the opportunity to align with the divine. So occasionally today, we hear prayer both celebrated and sometimes mocked. So what are some of the misconceptions about prayer? Prayer is not worship. Instead, prayer is the experience of oneness. Prayer is not wishing. Instead, prayer is affirming. Prayer is not visualizing. Instead, prayer is aligning. Prayer is not about changing God. Instead, prayer is about changing ourselves. Prayer is not a question. Prayer is an answer. And our concept of prayer reflects our consciousness. For many people, it is often defined as simply praying to God, prayers of supplication. And with a view of God on the margins of life, that practice makes sense. If I believe in a distant God reacting to the actions of people, then my prayers would reflect that view. Prayers sometimes thought of as prayers for God, prayers of praise. This is also a view of God that responds to attention and flattery. We don't have to believe in either of these two types of prayer, though in desperation they may come up. If we believe that the divine is all power, all knowledge, and presence itself, then my prayers reflect that. And prayer as meditation or prayer as treatment align our thoughts with a higher realm. So the purpose of our prayers matters. We can each experience a greater awareness of God day by day. And each day, I take time for meditation, and I know many of you do as well. My experience of life is different when I pray. God's presence becomes evident in the process of daily life. If it's the process of holding faith for a new life, or simply folding the laundry, or celebrating with family and friends, God can be present in each and every experience. And we could say God is present, right, in each and every experience. Ernest Holmes was the author of Science of Mind and a contemporary of Unity founders Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. He explained the difference between meditation and treatment like this. Spiritual mind treating is not daydreaming. It is more than meditation. Meditation is for the inbreathing, the essence of reality. Treatment is for the purpose of using this essence in definite, constructive ways. And we'll come back to these two ideas. So for Ernest Holmes, the purpose of meditation is inbreathing the essence of reality. In meditation, we pray as God with the recognition that we are expressions of spirit. This is mystical prayer. It is a prayer of alignment. In prayer, we remain calm and relax. We may close our eyes. We let go of outer concerns, and we begin to focus our thoughts on the Spirit of God within. We meditate with an open mind and heart, feeling the peace of God's presence. And as we embrace the silence of our souls, we know that we are one with God. And we allow that realization to permeate our being. And finally, we give thanks. Now that could happen in 2 minutes or 2 hours. The time doesn't matter. In meditation, seeing rightly is a goal. But can we really see God? People laugh at that concept, right? In the physical, our sense of sight helps us recognize other people, but also to learn about color and motion and distance. But visions are a common way of describing a mystical experience. Most of the mystical events in the Bible are described in terms of sight. The story of Jesus' transfiguration on a mountain signifies a mystical vision. Peter, James, and John go with Jesus to pray on a mountain. And while Jesus prays, they fall asleep. When they awaken, they see his appearance is radiant. He's been transfigured. In other words, Jesus fully realizes his exalted state of mind. Going up to a mountain to pray represents this spiritual realization. And like the disciples, we too can see the divine. In meditation, we may experience the love and comfort of spirit. Our essence is a loving spirit. And like the disciples, we may each experience love as our thoughts unite with other good thoughts. In meditation, the divine mind is our leader. The story of Jacob's ladder is about following spiritual guidance. As Jacob sleeps, he dreams of a ladder from earth to heaven and angels moving gently up and down the ladder. When we follow God consciousness, we also receive images and emotions coming into our conscious mind. And things from heaven. At 13, God's spell opened my eyes to new spiritual concepts. And I think the music helped. I listened to the music again and again. I still listen to this music. And the lyrics of the song, Day by Day, are simple yet profound. Day by day, O dear Lord, 3 things I pray. To see thee more clearly, to love thee more dearly, to follow thee more nearly, day by day. Only recently did I learn that this song is based on a hymn from the Episcopal Church, and the hymn is based on a Latin prayer by Richard of Chichester, England, who served as a priest, a bishop, and a mystic in the 13th century. Today he's known as Saint Richard. Richard prayed to connect to the Christ. At first glance, this prayer is directed outward. In God's spell, the character Anna Maria sings day by day to her master teacher, Jesus. This is a seeming separation between the Lord and I, and still we may see this prayer as a step to alignment with God consciousness. So let's look at the purpose of treatment or prayer in another sense. This prayer may look more like praying with God. And in the older unity literature, it was sometimes called scientific prayer, or even Charles and Myrtle used the word treatment. Whatever we call it, it's a concentrated mind activity. We set aside drama and trauma. We focus on our desire for good. We activate our thoughts to a higher consciousness, and we use these thoughts constructively. In spiritual mind treatment, we speak our purpose. We state the condition in our lives that we want changed, and then we state the changed condition that we want to expect. The condition that we want to expect. We verbalize this result of the treatment. And treatment works when it's calm, when it's effortless, when it's simple. And next are other steps. We recognize that spirit is all there is. We align or we unify with spirit. We realize this unity, taking it into our minds. We accept and embody our good. And we give thanks. We let go and let God. We release the process to the universe. So what I just shared with you is really steps from religious science, from the Centers for Spiritual Living. And there are overlaps with our Unity 5-step prayer method. In our treatments or our prayers, we strive to see the divine more clearly. We look for the good within and within ourselves and within others. We see the best in the world. We affirm, my eyes are the eyes of God. We strive to love the divine more dearly. So what does it mean to love God if God is everywhere present? It means demonstrating the love of God active in us. It means showing our world the very essence of love itself. Treatment is often seen as an exercise of the mind. We're changing our thoughts, we're using words, but as we treat, we also use divine love moving through our heart center. The breath of love moves within us. We affirm, my love is the love of God. We strive to follow the divine more nearly, and following suggests using our mind, our inner knowing, our intuition, and a sense of rightness. We don't have to understand this in terms of ESP, but the concept of this sense can be useful. We affirm, my mind is the mind of God. So day by day, we progressively come to understand our true nature, whether we meditate, pray, or treat. Will you affirm with me again, as I pray, I align with God consciousness. As I pray, I align with God consciousness. Let's do that one more time. As I pray, I align with God consciousness. So we pray with impeccable sight. We pray with perfect love. We follow with willingness and wisdom. When we pray with and as God consciousness, we build a firm spiritual foundation. Namaste.